Hi guys, welcome back to the Talks with Big Jim podcast.
Guess what, motherfucker?
Some of the information you are about to hear, some may find disturbing.
I don't know who gave them this or who gave them the clearance. On the crotch.
Oh my
Right
lord.
there.
Can we Google that?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I fucking stumbled down a dark hole and I love it.
Great cake parties. You know, if I'm going to believe anybody's bullshit, I'm going to believe mine.
It sounds not politically correct, but
You two motherfuckers need Jesus.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Talks with Big Jim podcast. I am Bo, and of course, joining with me is my co-host, my pops, Big Jim.
Hey, Jim.
And we have another very special guest today, Michael. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm not going to introduce your job title just yet. I'm gonna let you do that, explaining yourself. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, kind of for a icebreaker question, before we get started, of any of the Hollywood movies of Marines, because I know that you were a former Marine or current.
Former. I mean, we say we're all still Marines,
Yeah.
even then when we get out, but I'm just not active duty anymore. I'm a
Got it.
civilian now.
All right. So, with your expertise, sir, I would like to know this one question: who would win in a fist fight, Rob Riggle or Ernie Hudson?
Oh, Rob Riggle all day. Rob Riggle all day. I mean,
Pow.
he's especially with the POW. He's a captain in the Marine Corps still.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he was able to balance his movie career with the military, and so I mean, we give him so much credit in the military for being able to do that and still be a captain in the Marine Corps. So I mean,
So he's still
kudos to
active
him.
duty
So
now?
I'll take him in a fight all day.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Because he does comedy stuff. I mean, he does all the movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no clue. I just thought
Yeah.
he was. I actually didn't even know he was the military.
Marine? Yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
he was actually on Bert Kreischer's podcast when he brought up a crazy story during 9/11. How he was
Sure.
I believe he was reserve.
Yep.
And then he went to full active duty right after that.
Correct.
Yeah,
Well, that's
crazy.
motivation enough, right there.
Crazy story.
There's actually a couple of people that did that. Not so much with the military, but a couple of firefighters. I forget the guy's name. He's pretty famous, and he was when he was younger. He was a New York firefighter, and then when 9/11 happened, he went and helped out the firefighters again, even though he was in Hollywood and everything like that.
Oh,
Trying to think.
Groundhog.
Groundhog.
But Steven.
Groundhog's Day?
No, not Groundhog.
No.
His name was Rockhound from Armageddon. Steve Buscemi.
Oh, Steve
Skinny.
Buscemi.
Yes,
Him.
yes. There we
Steve
go.
Buscemi.
Him.
From Empire or Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Him. Yeah, the one who likes strippers.
Yeah. All right, so
Very true.
Again, man, thank you so much for being on here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
My dad was just asking, like, hey, how did you come across this guy? And I was just telling him, dude, I was literally going through TikTok one day, and you posted a video, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And since then, man, I just followed you, and now I'm a huge fan, huge follower, and
I appreciate it.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate
So, real quick before we get into the professional life, let's get into a little bit of personal. Where did you grow up at? So, are you originally from Florida or somewhere else?
Well, technically, yeah. I was born here in Florida in Dade County, so pretty close to Miami. And then when I was 10 years old, we moved up to New Hampshire. So I lived in New Hampshire about maybe 25 minutes north of Boston. So I was in Boston constantly growing up.
You can hear the accent.
Yeah, I get it a lot.
And
Everybody's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm here from Florida." And they're like, "Yeah, okay." But yeah, so I lived up north for about 20 years. obviously I did my 8 years in the Marine Corps. So I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina on Camp Lejeune for those 8 years. And then after that, I moved back up north and I got into the trauma side of it, job wise. And then I was like, I could do this down south, and I'm sick of the snow. So down south I came.
Yeah, that's two extremes weather-wise. But I got a real off-topic question. Are you happy Tom Brady now is in Florida?
Oh,
It's hard. So we can't be mad at Tom because he's given us so much over the years since 2000. So it's kind of like you can't hate him. You can't be mad at him for wanting to go somewhere else. He gave us 6 Super Bowls. There's
fuck. What more can you ask for?
I know, like all of us, we just want him to do well. We hope he does well. We still follow him, and obviously we want the Bucs to do good. I mean, am I happy now that I'm down here and I can go watch him still play? You're damn right I am. I'm pumped about that.
Did you buy a jersey yet?
Yeah, they're gonna do good with him. I'm a little bit worried about the Patriots with everybody like kind of taking a backseat to the whole Corona thing. So a lot of guys like Hightower and stuff, they've already backed out of this coming season already. So I don't know what kind of season we're gonna have anyways.
Are we even going to have a season to begin with?
I don't know. Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, last night the UFC fights were on, and once they ended, the screen changed over to baseball, which I haven't seen baseball in a while. And they have cardboard cutouts of fans in the
You
stands.
haven't seen that?
Yeah.
No, I
seen
just saw that.
Oh no, it is. It looks like an old school EA
Yeah.
baseball game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
It
know?
looks like the old EA Sports video game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And
funny.
then sometimes, like the Dodgers mainly, they'll put in celebrities that used to have season tickets.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this can't be right. This don't even feel like a game. I'd rather watch Little League World Series. At least they have parents cheering them on.
It's crazy. I mean, the only thing they really have on a lot of is golf or tennis or something. I'm like, I can't sit here and watch this anymore. Like, this is just brutal. I'd rather go paint a wall in my house and watch it dry.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Go water a plant and watch it grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So, all right. Now that we covered that, so you said you were in the Marines for 8 years.
Yeah.
With that being said, was this during the time of the
Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Damn. So
You made it out of that pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
And-
Right on. Congratulations. Congratulations.
when you said you transferred to the trauma, what exactly is
That's
that?
just so in the civilian world. So the trauma services job in which I did that you saw.
Got it.
That's not military related. So the job in which the videos that I posted have nothing to do with the military.
Okay.
So that's all the civilian side.
So how did you go from Marine to the job that you're at? And for those listening, can you explain what that job is?
Yeah. So in 2016, I separated from the Marine Corps. Marine Corps was kind of slowing down. We weren't doing a lot of deployments anymore. And I personally didn't want to be a part of a garrison Marine Corps. And garrison is kind of just like you're home, you're in the States, you're just training. You're not, it gets dumb. It gets very, it's hard to explain. It's like when you're not in war, the details get seen a lot more. So like your uniform has to be perfect and stuff like that. When you're training for war, it's more lax. So in garrison, if I'm walking across the grass, you could have a sergeant major be like, hey, get off my grass. Like stupid little stuff like that. I know that sounds dumb, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to be in the Marine, like be in that type of Marine Corps. So I got out. I was running a landscape company for a while with a guy, and then he left and moved to Las Vegas. And so I needed a job, and I got reached out to by the owner of the company in which I worked for. And what they do, what's that?
By the way, if you don't want to give out the name of the company, that's totally fine. You know.
Yeah, I won't, because I mean, I just don't want to, because it's a huge company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And I mean, they've done a lot of high profile stuff, so I don't want to bring too much attention to that.
Of course.
But basically, it's a company that cleans up all biohazard bodily fluids, everything like that. So it's a biohazard company, and your job title in that is a biohazard technician. So you're responsible for it, and you have to get certifications. You don't need to go to school for it. Everything is taught within the company. The owner of the company pays for it and then has somebody come in. For example, in order to be qualified to clean up fentanyl, which is one of the strongest drugs on the market, it's 83,000 times more powerful than morphine. So
83,000 times?
83,000 times more powerful than morphine. That's how powerful fentanyl is.
Holy
No,
shit.
that's not the designer side. That's not like the fake
That's
stuff
synthetic.
that's coming out
That's
of
not
China,
what
right?
they use. So, but what they use in the hospital, it's just as powerful. It's but they're dosing it correctly. They're not using it erratically and stuff like that. So the owner of the company reached out to me because he found my resume and asked me if I would do an interview, and I did. And they showed me slides and kind of like what we would do on the job, and I agreed to it. I thought it'd be neat. And then my first job that I went to was a gentleman who had basically drank himself to death and had been in the apartment for about 3 weeks by himself before anybody found him. When we walked in, there was hundreds of clear vodka, empty vodka bottles all over the place, hundreds of them. And he was just there turning it into liquid in the living room floor. And my
You're
my
right
boss,
down there. You good?
Yeah,
my
I'm
boss.
fine.
You gonna be able to make it through this? That's just
I didn't drink any more coffee.
don't drink anything with cream in it. This is gonna get heavy.
Hey,
I don't.
water
I don't.
and
Yeah.
coffee. Let's go.
Yeah. Make sure you breathe over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
But
Nuts.
yeah, so we walked in on that, and the boss, my boss at the time, she had looked at me. She goes, "Are you going to be all right with this?" I was like, "Yeah, trust me, this is perfectly fine. I dealt with stuff like this in the Marine Corps. Like, this is nothing." So we had to clean everything up and had to cut the floor out because the way it works is, so if you have bodily fluid on flooring within your house, in New England, the way it works is you can't turn that apartment or house over. You can't resell that unless the insurance company has signed off on it saying that biohazard has been professionally taken care of. Now, 10 years ago, you could do it. If you own the property, you could do it yourself and it wouldn't matter. But as soon as it touches insurance and there's a police report on it, insurance is notified, and you cannot sell that house or apartment until it has been professionally cleaned and we sign off on it.
Whoa.
So it causes like a huge problem. And I've heard of situations where somebody's passed away in a house and they were left there for over 24 hours, and obviously bodily fluids leak out, and nobody did the cleanup. The family did it, but there was a police report on it. So when they went to sell the house, that came up, and they are legally not allowed to sell the house.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, especially now with all the, excluding the COVID-19 situation, but I got a question in regards to when you enter the scene, whether it's a homicide, suicide, accidental, you go in after evidence is collected, correct?
It depends. Sometimes yes and no. If they're pretty set on what happened, then we'll go in there and start cleaning stuff up. But the biggest factor on when we start, if there's kids involved, if there's adolescent kids involved or juveniles, we have to get in there to clean it up so that they can get the kids back in there so that they can get their belongings, and so it's less traumatizing on the children. And they don't want to have a huge investigation going on while there's kids that live in the house. Now, one or both of their parents are deceased. I've been in many situations where both parents were either killed themselves or murdered or what have you. And so they'll collect the evidence in certain areas as much as they can, and we'll go in and clean that up, and then we can shut off the rest of the house where everything else is and get the kids in there so that they can get their stuff, so that we can get them out of there and then finish everything. But we pretty much show up pretty quickly with first responders. As soon as something happens and they're notified, we're notified by special crimes, the state special crimes unit, and they'll let us know what's going on, how long they're going to take. So sometimes if we have the time to do it, we'll just show up there early and just hang out for hours until they're ready to go.
Holy shit.
And then they'll swap the scene over to us. But I mean, we find evidence constantly. We found murder weapons, all of it.
No way.
And that was going to be my next question. Is there anything post-investigation that you guys come across that you guys have to enter into?
I mean, the state's very good at what they do, but they're human, they miss things. And when you're not looking for something is when you usually find it. I mean, there's been blood on walls that we've had to take down. And when we take the wall down, we found like $300,000 stashed away in a wall.
What?
Yep. Oh yeah. Or like the old, the VHS cases.
Yeah.
Like the Disney ones that close.
Yeah. Yeah.
We found thousands of dollars in those before. They were all neatly put away, like in a bookshelf. And we had to get rid of all of them because they were a hoarder. And so we were getting rid of all of them. And then I knocked a couple of them down. I was like, those feel weird. And I opened them up, and there was just bands of money in them.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's
So
nuts.
how much of the temptation was there? Just to pick
so
up and put in your
yeah,
time in.
a lot of people would say that, but I'll tell you, when the state goes in, they take pictures of everything, and the last thing you would want is for you to take something, or even if a family member notified the state, like, hey, my parents used to put their money in here, so this should be there. So when we go in, if we were to take something like that, it's just not worth it. And the family, the way we look at it is the family's gone through enough. We don't need to be taking their money. So
Right.
Yeah, that's good to have morals, right?
Yeah.
Jesus, man. Holy,
But yeah, it's nuts.
so doing this job, is it only in Florida, or do you go back to New Hampshire, or like what?
No, so I don't do it with that company anymore. I left that company because there was just with coronavirus and stuff, we were required to clean affected areas that had confirmed cases, like DMVs and stuff like that, which is fine. But we were getting paid a certain amount of money to do those types of jobs. Mm-hmm. And then the owner of the company lowered that pay down, saying that he was getting kickback from insurance, saying that he was charging too much. And a lot of us just did not agree with that at all. We were not going to go clean the virus and stuff like this, especially before we really knew what it was, for $30 some odd an hour. It was not worth it. And so I stepped away from that. And now in Florida, I am currently going through, it's harder right now because of COVID and nobody's in offices and stuff like that, but I'm trying to get all my licensing here in Florida to do it on my own and start my own company.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So
and how long were you with the previous company?
Over 2 years.
Oh, okay. So you got some good contacts then out of it, correct?
Oh yeah.
And
that's good. Good luck on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pain Corona has put the brakes on a lot of stuff, and it slows a lot down. So as far as licensing, like Biohazard license here in Florida, you have to have, like, the truck that I would require. I have to have a CDL driver to do that. So I would have to hire somebody right off the bat or go get my own CDL. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's just a matter of when people have time after this coronavirus has gone by and people get back into the offices and can do this paperwork, because everything's online right now and it's just a pain.
And that was going to be one of my next questions was, with this whole COVID and coronavirus thing going on, has your first off, has your job been dangerous? And with this going on now, is it tenfold?
Okay, yeah. So when coronavirus actually first started, when this kicked off months ago, the crime rate went tremendously down. It went down so much to where we weren't really doing anything besides coronavirus cleanings. It scared the entire country to a T. Nobody was leaving their house. Nobody was going out. Criminals didn't want to commit crimes. Nobody was around anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was scared of an invisible enemy, so as far as homicides and murders and suicides and all that, there was none. There was none. I think we were doing maybe 2 suicides a week, maybe. And that's all of New England. So that's Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
What's a typical cleanup? Because you said you're doing about 2 a week. In a
Yeah.
week, what would you normally do?
Oh, between hoarders, suicides, homicides, and regular murders, probably on average 4 or 5 a week.
Did you say hoarders or quarters?
4 or 5 a week on average.
Hoarders.
Hoarders.
Oh yeah, hoarders, like you see on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would actually, besides cleaning up the crime scene, would you have to clean up the items that they hoard?
So if somebody has died or murdered in a house that they're a hoarder, it'll depend on the insurance and what the existing family wants to do. We're mainly there to clean up the affected areas from the dead body, but now sometimes we're hired to clean up a house that has a hoarder in it, or they've passed away. The family wants it cleaned up, but 9 times out of 10, they want the entire house clean. They don't want to deal with it. And so what you see on TV for hoarders, that's a joke. I wish that's what I cleaned up. It'd be so easy. Oh yeah, it's a joke. They don't show you anything on those TV shows.
Damn, I thought
TV.
Yeah, I thought that shit was pretty bad.
Nah. We had a lady she was a schizophrenic, and she would lock herself in her bathroom because it was the only place she could move around. And she was getting food deliveries through the bathroom window. That's where they were delivering it. And they did a welfare check, and the cops went and knocked on the window or on the front door. Nobody answered. And the house from the outside looked completely normal. And then neighbors started to smell something and all this. So when we got in, we realized that she was using her bathtub as her toilet.
Oh.
Feeding and urinating in her bathtub. And something must have spooked her, and she must have jumped into the bathtub and slipped and hit her head. So when we got in there, we didn't see her. And then we saw her hair floating on top of the liquid or her fecal matter. And we knew that she had died in her own excrement. And so we actually had to get a pump truck in there and suck it all out. And her skeleton was the only thing left.
Damn, she decomposed that much?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when they did the welfare, they're figuring that when they did the welfare check, her schizophrenic side kicked in or whatever. She got scared, jumped into the bathtub, slipped, hit her head on the back of the tub, and died.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now, this is probably going to be an easy question for you to answer because of your life experiences, mainly in the Marine Corps and what you've seen. But how do you balance what you saw on the battlefield to where you've seen something like this? How do you go, just earlier we saw you at Walmart? How do you balance those two?
It's never bothered me, not one bit. I sleep perfectly fine. I don't have nightmares or anything like that. It's a job. It's a lot of people find death so taboo, and the way that people die a very taboo thing, and everybody's scared of it. But it's just the opposite of a birth. You know what I mean? People can sit there and watch a child be born all day and be fine with it.
True.
It's the same exact thing with me on the opposite side of it. If you see a baby born, do you go home and have nightmares about it? No, nobody does. because that's the normal. That we've created that in society to where that's normal. That's a beautiful thing. Well, death, we've made TV shows and movies to where it's a scary thing. Like we have CSI, all these crime scene things, like, and it's a horror, like horror movies, all this. To me, that stuff doesn't bother me. It's a fact of life. It's the opposite end of what we see in the beginning that nobody knows about. And the only reason why everybody's so scared about it is because we don't know what happens after that. So the physical act of dying and everything that circumferences that is terrifying to people. And it's very taboo to them. So when they think about somebody falling, splitting their head open and dying, nobody wants to wrap their head around that. Yeah. Me, on the other hand, I just go in and I'm like, oh yeah, it's blood. I've seen blood all over the place before. Everybody has it in their body. It's just on the outside. Or whether it's, oh, look, here's a human brain. It's like, we all have it.
I think, kind of playing on the same boat there. The profession that I'm in, we have to release bodies.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure, if there's any property with them, if I were to die with these headphones and these glasses and it marks that these are on my body, that should be with me when I'm released to the mortuary. Yeah. So kind of the same thing, death doesn't bother me. I've seen plenty of death, especially with the job that I'm at now. But I think for the most part, for what people are, the total shock is how gruesome. Because I don't think people can wrap their heads around how the fuck can this happen.
Exactly. I mean, and I think it's just because of it's because of not media, but how easy it is. So you watch movies and you have your social media and stuff like that. And it's just, humans have just been taught over time that death is like this horrible thing, that it's scary. They relate every horror movie with death. When's the last time you saw a horror movie where somebody didn't die?
All right, sorry. A little bit of technical difficulties there.
That's good. Bound to happen.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that was the first time it happened.
Yeah, that was interesting. Like you were right in the middle of talking, and then out of nowhere, you just like froze, and then a black screen.
All right, I know you were in the middle of a story, Michael, but I gotta ask you, because of this little glitch we had, what's your superstition? If you are.
What's my what?
Superstition. Are you superstitious?
Superstitious.
Oh no! I mean, we've had some weird shit happen on scenes. We've had some we've had the creepiest thing. I mean, there's been a scene to where I did not go in and I would not do it. We walked into a house and there was a pentagram burnt into the hardwood floor. There was blood all over the place. There was dead goats. There was dead chickens. There was burnt images of Lucifer's head on the wall. All of their windows were painted black with black paint. No light came in. They had a sacrificial stone and everything, and they had literally killed each other as a sacrifice. I wouldn't go in there. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Okay, hold on.
And
you have to hold on. Yeah, you have to paint this picture for me because I am. Okay.
I don't think you want to, son.
So you walk up to the house, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful house on the outside. Looks completely normal.
And was this
flowers outside?
Was that there in Florida or was that in?
It was up north. This was up north.
Okay.
A beautiful house. There was nothing wrong with the house. It's not like the paint on the house was chipping. It was beautiful. It looked like it was just a normal suburban house.
Single story or 2-story?
2-story house, split entry house. And so we walk in and first of all, we noticed that all the windows were black. And I remember walking up to the house and going wow, that's weird that they have curtains all over each window. Huh. And then we opened up the door and the smell was just you know how blood smells like iron?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a burning iron smell like crazy. And it was hot. And it was the inside of the house, the humidity in there was just so insane. It was just so thick. It was like the air you were breathing was iron blood. It was just, oh my God. And normally I wouldn't wear a mask going into one of the scenes. Like it just never bothers me. But the air wasn't air. It was so hard to breathe. I put a mask on. And so I walked up and I got to the top of the stairs and I noticed that it was so dark in there, so dark. And I could barely see anything, and we couldn't find a light at first. And so we ran out to the truck and grabbed what we call a Pelican, and it's a massive light. It's like it looks like a suitcase, but it's one massive battery, and we put these poles on it, and they're like floodlights. So we grabbed one of those and we plugged it in and got it up there. And when those lights came on, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was so dark in there because, one, the windows were completely painted black, and there was just blood all over every single inch of all the walls. They were using like the blood from the dead animals and smearing it all over the walls. None of the neighbors had ever seen any of the animals. Like they never saw them take them in or anything like that. So we don't know how they were getting them in there, but there was probably, 3 dead goats and a dozen dead chickens and stuff like that. Dead cats, everything.
Jesus.
And there was a pentagram burnt into the hardwood floor. Like it had been burning for weeks. Like they had kept lighting it and putting it out, lighting it and putting it out. It was still smoldering. There was their sacrificial like little table thing. It was a stone. They killed each other. Like as a sacrifice, they were sitting with candles lit and everything like that and killed each other. Blood all over the walls. There was like weird satanic knives and stuff on the walls. In the blood they had drawn pictures of the devil in the blood.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And I saw that. I looked at my boss. I was like, yeah, get fucked. I'm not doing this. And
so subtle.
she was like, I walked out of that fucking house and she was right behind me.
No shit.
And I went up and we talked to the cops. I was like, look, dude, I'm not doing that house. Like, there's just something not right. I'm not doing it. There's no way. I was like, you go get the bodies out of there, whatever. I think we went through 2 coroner's offices before we found one that would actually come remove the bodies. 2 coroners went out there, saw the house, and we're like, we're not going in that house.
No fucking way.
I've never heard of a coroner's office not doing that. And 2 of them were like, yeah, absolutely not.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody. I don't blame either one. I mean, I know there's you have a certain responsibility as, including the police officers. I mean, what was the feedback between them, law enforcement?
Yeah.
Yeah. The cops, like, they wouldn't go in there. The guys who found them, at first, they didn't even see the bodies. They went up and they had their flashlights and they like looked around a little bit, and then they started catching like the devil's head on the wall and stuff like that. They were like, nope. And they just got out of there. But they saw all the blood, so that's how they ended up responding. And then more cops showed up and went inside. Then they saw the bodies. And when we got there was nobody on the inside. There was all the cops, the firefighters, everybody was outside. We're like, what's going on? They're like, we're not going in there.
They're all standing with their nightsticks and fucking crosses.
Yeah, nope. And the funniest thing, they weren't even on the property. They were just hanging out on the road.
No way.
And they were like, yeah, we're not going in that house. We're not even going on the property. You guys can go deal with it.
So is that sorry. So is that the only kind of scene that you've responded to like that, or were there somewhat similar ones or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's similar ones. Like we've done a lot of like satanic stuff. You would live next to somebody that is a Satanist and you'd never even know it.
No shit.
Yeah. We've gone into houses that look beautiful on the inside, and then there's this one friggin' room that is like straight out of the craziest Quentin Tarantino movie you've ever seen before. It's just like, what the fuck is this? Torture devices, like the devil's magazines and stuff like that, like 666 all over the place. Pictures of like real dead bodies from like back in the day, mutilated. Torture devices, like we found a do you know what is it? The pear? It's like a pear. It looks like a pear.
Like the
insert
fruit?
'em.
It looks like a pear, and it's got a spike on the tip of it, and you put it inside of
Impale
a
it.
female and crank it and
Yeah.
open it up, and it opens
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've
This
seen
guy
that.
had
Where the
one of
hell?
those.
Where have you seen that?
Actually, the movie.
By the way, in case you
with-
didn't realize, Mike, this is my father.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
the movie 8mm with Nicolas Cage and Joaquin Phoenix.
You know what? I've actually never seen that.
Oh,
I've seen 7, but I've never seen that one.
Yeah, there's
and 7.
yeah, there's weird stuff out there. We had done a job where we got called out. It was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And obviously with this job, you're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. You don't know when something's going to happen, but you have to be there.
Mhm.
So personal life is non-existent. I would be at one of the out at a bar with all my buddies that are all cops, and we'd be watching the Patriots game or like the Super Bowl or whatever. And I'd get called to one of the departments, and I'd be like, guys, like, I got to go. Sorry. And they're like, really? They're like, what department are you going to? I'm like, yours. I got to go to your department while you guys are in the drink. I got to go clean up because one of your guys just arrested somebody who puked in the back of a cruiser or something. And then I'd have to go clean that. Yep.
Holy shit. All right. So, I mean, I'm just going to. Okay. When I first contacted you, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned something, and I don't know how much of it you could speak on. But can you name one of the most notable scenes that you've ever gone to?
Yeah. So like the company that I worked for, we did the Boston bombings. So we did that cleanup. That was, it was more for media wise to keep us there for as long as we were there. It wasn't anything like horribly gruesome. I mean, I've gone to stabbings that were way worse, but the fact of how high profile it was with what happened, we had to be so meticulous with it. It had to be done perfectly. So we were on 8 on, 8 off. So we were rotating in the back of like our work trucks, literally sleeping in the trucks and then working, and we did that for about 48 hours straight. And the reason why it took so long was, with it being a pressure cooker, it just sent a lot of bio in every direction from, unfortunately, the people that were hit. So it was a matter of tracking it down, spraying a chemical that we call Serum. It's called Serum 1000, and it's like hydrogen peroxide on steroids. So your normal hydrogen peroxide that you use on a cut is like about 5% hydrogen peroxide. Well, this stuff is at 90%. So it'll actually pull blood out of 5 feet of concrete. Yeah, it just hits anything. So like mold or anything like that, anything blood, it reacts to, and it just foams and foams and foams, and it just pulls and pulls and pulls. But we use that to find blood and bio. We spray it all over the place until we see where it's reacting. So we were doing that over and over and over until we got basically all the blood. But it was just so high profile. There was news cameras all over the place. We weren't allowed to clean certain areas because the media was there, and they didn't want to attract too much attention from a certain angle and stuff like that. It was just very strategic, and a lot of it was just over our heads. So we were just dealing with like Boston FBI, just doing exactly what they wanted us to do. So it just took a lot longer than it needed to.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
You know, years ago, earlier you mentioned that, 10 years ago, you would have just been able to clean the scene and flip the house. Well, I used to flip homes in Arizona. I was a contractor for a company.
Ooh, I know these stories.
Actually a couple of homes, but one of the homes in particular, we went in and, I noticed that there was just only little areas of the walls, ceiling, certain cabinets tile on the floor, carpet. That's all that was missing. So we flipped the house. It wasn't till years later we found out what had actually happened. Groundskeeper went in and murdered the husband and wife. All the missing stuff were the blood splotches and the matter, the brain matter, and all the stuff. So right now, hearing you talk about this chemical, so for the most part, that floor in Arizona at the house that I'm thinking of still has matter, correct? If it's not extracted. Oh.
God damn.
Yeah, so like when a lot of people don't understand because they think blood's like thick. Well, yes, it is, but when you bleed a lot, the plasma of your blood is the thickest. So it'll be slower than the rest of it. But if you bleed on if it's a multi-story house, if you bleed on the corner of a wall in your floor, it will get underneath your baseboards and it will just run all the way down. I've seen blood hit like on just wood floors on the top floor, get in between the cracks of the wood that you can't see. It looks great wood floors. You don't see there's a crack there, but that small space in between each wood plank, it'll go down there. And I've seen it go down, get into the ceiling, run the joist, go down the wall, run the joist again and go down the wall and drip all the way into the basement. Go through 3 floors. Yep. And on each floor below where it happened, you can't tell. You'll sit here, you could sit there in a room and you would not know that behind the wall was just blood pouring down. You would not know. And then you go into the basement and there's 5 gallons of blood down there.
Good God.
So we would have to go in and rip it all out. We rip out, so we find the blood trail and we start ripping out all the way. Everything.
Yeah, this house is definitely still standing. I'm actually surprised that So what changed it? What actually went from just go ahead, take out the exposed invisible parts to the deep clean? Was there a law? Was it an instant? Or
well, so the biological factor of it is that it's when a human body dies, you might remove the body out of there, but if there's bio left behind, that bio can cause so many problems for humans. So like your cerebral fluid, it's really bad to even breathe in. Like it'll get airborne and it's very, very bad for you. It's kind of like silica dust. Look at it that way. It's very harmful for you. The disease that you can get all types of diseases from blood and stuff that's not cleaned up. It attracts everything. I mean, you have blood, you're going to get bugs from it. You're going to get all this other stuff. But the biggest thing is it's blood. It's from a murder. It's from a suicide. People don't want that in their house. And at somewhere along the lines, people started realizing I'm not getting all of this and there's no way I can. And I'm not digging into this any further. I'm not going to sit here and rip up my subfloor to track down my brother who just blew his head off. I'm not going to track down his blood. They never cared enough. So when this became a profession and this industry was born, it was so convenient for families because it took it off their hands. They don't have to do it. So I mean, God forbid somebody that kills themselves. No parent should have to deal with that first off. Never mind have to go and clean up after.
Right.
Because the coroner's office doesn't sit there and clean up all the blood. But like 15 years ago, the families had to do it. That was on them.
Yeah. And now it's, and that's interesting you said that because crime scene cleanup, that isn't a title that just comes to mind. I thought coroners did it. Coroners did what they had to do. The family came in, cleaned it, blah, blah, blah. When he told me he had someone in this line of work, I was like, you know what? That's something I never thought about. I never thought, what was the aftermath? I've seen suicides, like you said, kids in parks shooting themselves. A couple of guys were hogtied. This is all in Arizona. They were hogtied in backyards, and they were just left. And all this was houses that we were flipping, the company that I worked with. And so, yeah, there's a lot of matter still out there. Some of these houses that were resold.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so the insurance companies basically just came out and said that when it comes to biohazard, it has to be professionally taken care of because the health risks that it leaves open to, like, God, it's a nasty bacteria, and it allows for mold and everything to grow on. It's just like if you have water damage, you're not going to leave it. You can get black mold and everything, and it'll kill you. It's the same concept, only it's not water, it's human blood. So that just puts an even more crazy spin on it.
So when, okay, we're going to expedite the whole scenario, and then it goes to real estate. So this is why now it's law to where the real estate agent has to indulge that information? Disclose it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
And I didn't even ask this question before. I don't even think you did. How old are you?
30.
No shit. You're a year older than me, bro.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That is nuts.
So, and most of the people that do this job, I mean, we hired a kid that was 19.
What?
Yep. 19 years old. I mean, I didn't agree with it. I don't agree with hiring people for this job that aren't even fully mature yet. I mean, that can just, if you're not fully mature and you don't have a good grasp on life, you walk into some of these scenes, you might think it's cool and stuff like that, but a couple of years down the road, you're gonna be fucked.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll fucking break you.
Yeah. And we've had like young guys and girls. I mean, not so much girls. My boss is actually a female. She was only 24 when I started. She had been doing it for 4 years, and she is in the Boston University master's program to be a what the hell do you call it? One of the crime scene investigators or whatever.
No shit.
Yeah, so she's going to get her master's for that. So that's why she's in this line of work. That makes sense. But some of these guys, they're just like right out of high school or dropped out of college and need a job that pays pretty well. And so they end up getting into this line of work.
Jeez.
And it's an easy line of work to get into because the turnaround rate is so high.
With that being said, with it affecting, your people's brains or whatever, when they walk into scenes, what does your family think? Do you have any kids or anything like that?
No,
like
absolutely
that?
not. No kids, no way. No, it's just really just me. All my closest friends and stuff, they're all cops or they're Marines. So it's it's awesome because nobody even really asks me about it. They know what it is. They know what I do for work. And it's just kind of left alone. It's not, the cops see the same thing I do. As far as they don't clean it up, they're not playing around in blood or picking up the human brain or dealing with the body sometimes. But they see it, they get it. So it doesn't really, it's not a matter of asking my friends and family. They don't really ask me, oh, like, how do you feel? Like, how do you deal with that? Because they've gone through it or they do go through it just the same. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. So kind of let's step out of the dark side of the moon there.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning of this, I found you on TikTok. So what made you want to post something on TikTok? How did you post anything on TikTok? That didn't violate any of their crazy ass guidelines?
I don't know. TikTok's weird. I'm actually banned from going live for about 7 days right now because I mentioned one of my guns or something, I guess.
Are you serious?
So I got banned for like 7 days. I'm always banned from TikTok for going live and stuff. But I can sit there and post somebody's human brain or something like that. You saw it. I had a bunch of videos up there at one point.
Dude, a lot. That's what I was telling my friend.
And none of them were taken down. And what started it was I was actually in Arizona. I was in Tempe, Arizona. And and I was sitting at one of the bars, and I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about how their uncle had just committed suicide, and I told them what I did, and we were just conversating back and forth, and we just got on topic of like, I wish there was a way to put out there that like this really happens, because I mean, suicide happens,
Right?
but nobody understands the severity of it. Like, oh, that's so sad. Like, people on Facebook, everybody has a friend or knows somebody on Facebook that will post about whether their brother or sister killed themselves last year or whatever, what have you. But nobody understands. And so I sat there and I was talking to this guy, and I was like, not to make you upset, but what do you think about if I like posted something like that to give a visual reality of what this does to families? And maybe it'll make somebody who's thinking about that like, shit, I don't want to leave my family cleaning that up. I don't want my family to walk in on that. You know what I mean? And the guy was just like, that would be incredible, because I tell you right now, if my uncle knew what we were going to have to see and clean up, I guarantee he would have never done it. And it's like, yeah. So I was like, all right. And so I had just posted one, and somebody had mentioned to me actually at the bar when I posted it, they were like, maybe not make it so dark and ominous, like put music to it or something. And so I got a lot of shit for putting music to it.
Dude, yeah, you put songs to it.
But I put music to it to kind of to make it watchable. You know what I mean? Make it to understand that, yes, it's real, but to make it watchable. If you put music to the background of something, it makes it either it's more soothing to help get you through it, or it's suspenseful, like in horror movies where it's leading up to it.
The one that made me laugh, and it's obviously not a funny situation, but the one that made me laugh so much, and I even showed my wife, and she was like, "What the fuck are you watching?" It was the poop. You put
yeah. So that guy had do you know, it's a GI bleed.
Yeah.
So, but what we couldn't figure out was he had a GI bleed, but it looked like he was just living with it for a while. Usually if you have GI bleeds, you die right away. If you're not taken to the hospital instantaneously. This guy had his kitchen. You couldn't even walk into his kitchen. It was filled with probably 300 empty boxes of 30 rack Budweiser boxes.
Whoa.
Cans. There was thousands of Budweiser cans all over this guy's house. And there was just poop everywhere. Bloody poop everywhere. And then we got upstairs into that bathroom. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? And like, it is hard to walk into some of these places. And like, here I am, I'm cleaning up human shit. I'm like, you know, I'm a United States Marine. I have done some of the most badass shit in the world. And now here I am at the time, 20, 28, 29 years old, cleaning up somebody's poop. I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, this is just demoralizing. It's just, oh my God. So you have to be able to have fun with it.
Yeah.
But back to why I decided to post all this stuff is, one, to kind of help bring awareness to, we don't live in like this perfect world. Like, this shit happens. People are naive. People, like, we have done scenes where everybody in the neighborhood thought that husband and wife were perfect. They were literally that perfect all-American family.
Next thing you know,
they're not. They've literally shot each other in the face. But there's signs out there, domestic violence, that some people feel as though they can't get out of. And they stay there and they end up getting killed or tortured. So, I mean, I posted everything to kind of as an eye opener, like, look, this shit goes on behind these closed doors. The media is never going to show you this shit. And I guess while I'm on that, why the stuff isn't up there anymore is because, one, the consent was there. So everything that was posted had consent. But the state of Massachusetts and other states, I guess there's like crazy laws out there. I guess it just falls under that the legal system can do whatever the hell they want.
Mhm.
And it came down to me. If I didn't take them down, it was going to end up me going against state prosecutors. And
What?
I don't have I don't have the money for that. I don't have the time for that. So it was just a battle in which I was not willing to fight. Because at the end of the day, it's a social media platform. It's not
Yeah.
something that I take too seriously. But with had that not happened, I mean, my biggest goal was to kind of just bring suicide awareness, because when I posted a few, there were so many people that reached out to me that were like thanking me for posting that stuff and trying to bring awareness to it, because their son, daughter, mother, brother, whoever had killed themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just reassuring to them knowing that there's companies out there that are willing to go the extra mile to make it easier on them so that they don't have to deal with it. And at the same time, letting people know, like, hey, if you're going through a hard time, like, talk to somebody. I know that everything going on with the police right now, nobody likes the cops. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. I don't agree with it at all. Like I said, all my best friends were all cops.
Mhm.
And if you were to pick up the phone or to walk into a police station and say, this is how I feel, I want to kill myself, I can guarantee you the first cop you say that to will stop whatever they're doing, sit down, talk to you. They're going to give you their personal cell phone number, and you're going to make a friend for the rest of your life. They will continue to check up on you. And I challenge people online. I'm like, if you think I'm kidding, go do it. Go do it go into a police station and do it. Go into a fire station and do it.
Yeah.
You're going to leave there with somebody's phone number and a friend that you're going to have for the rest of your life, because they're not going to let you do that. And they're going to be reassuring, and they're going to help you through it. A complete stranger. And so that was like the main point of it when it started to gain traction. And I mean, it blew up overnight.
Yeah, I was
and when
telling,
it did,
I
I was
was
like,
telling my dad when I first saw you, man, you had, I think, like 7,000 followers maybe.
yeah,
And then, like you said, overnight it went from 7,000 like 150 or something like that. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit.
yeah.
I got a
Because
question
it
real
was
quick.
all
Not to
real. Like
interrupt.
so many people thought it was fake. They were like, oh yeah, that's not real. I'm like, no, that shit's 110% real.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dad.
I got a question for you, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously bringing awareness to the topic of suicide. Is this something, and I don't even know how to ask this question, but I'm going to just say it off the top of my head. You're bringing the aftermath and the effect of what it can do to the family or somebody in crisis. Have you ever thought about teaming up with the National Suicide Hotline to maybe put something together? Look, we're going to try to avoid the situation, but this is what happens to the family. These are the repercussions when you're gone. Do you really want this to happen?
Yeah. I mean, so I've thought about a lot of things like that in order to collaborate. But again, the biggest problem is that we find death in this country so taboo, and everybody is so brainwashed to where if you were to put that on TV and it was real, you would have lawsuits out the wazoo. You would have so many lawsuits, because if there was a kid in the room that saw it or something like that, I mean, hell, I'm sorry, but look, this is what you lead. Don't do anything stupid, little Jimmy. I know you're 16 and you think you got the world figured out, but this is what you're going to do. If you do this is what your mom's going to have to clean up. And it's like, even if it scares somebody out of doing it, then great. Awesome. You know, I can't tell you how many little kids I've had to clean up, like 14 years old, that have taken their own lives. A 18-year-old kid went in to his stepdad's bedroom and grabbed his gun while they were sleeping, and went back into his room and called his girlfriend, hung up with his girlfriend. His girlfriend had called the kid's parents, and it was in the middle of the night. They're like, what's going on? They're like, you need to get into his room now. He has a gun, blah, blah, blah. And while they were on the phone, they heard the gunshot go off. And so the stepdad got up and kicked the door in, and he had shot himself while he was on the bed. It's like, and was there a lot of blood? No, there wasn't a lot of blood at all, even when we got there. But we had to take the the blankets and everything. There wasn't a lot of splatter. But I mean, there was obviously blood. So we took the comforter and everything like that. And it was on a little twin bed. And we cleaned everything. And the mother of the kid was like, would you mind leaving the mattress? Now, legally, it's their property. They can do whatever they want. But we told her that it's it's not healthy. She shouldn't be sleeping on that. Because that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to like sleep in his bed one more night. So what we ended up doing was we cleaned it as best we could and then just flipped the mattress over and put new blankets and stuff on it. And she slept in it that night. We went back the next day and picked the mattress up. But to put something like that out there for everybody to see, it's one thing to have it on a social media platform where you see it and you can stop seeing it, you can scroll. But if you put it on TV, people are going to sit there and watch it. One, because it's on TV. I mean, people do it with the stupid news all the time. So
Yeah.
you put it on there and somebody watches that and they realize that it's real, you're causing more problems than anything.
God.
Jesus.
So I think it has to be done correctly and has to be done in a sensible way to where somebody who doesn't want to see it can exit out of it or choose not to. If it's on TV, it's just going to be way too much in your face. And I think it would be a really hard thing for families to kind of sign off on, yeah, we're going to put your loved one's aftermath on television with the suicide hotline assistance. They're going to be like,
no, thank you.
and we'd have to give them a huge financial break or give them a lot of money in order to do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll end on.
Hang on. Are kids the hardest? Are kids the hardest for you to handle? Not kids, but just young individuals who take their lives. Are those the hardest?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, like I said, I don't really struggle too much with anything. It is a fact of life. But I mean, obviously children, it hits a little bit harder because they don't know, they didn't know, they were obviously going through what they thought at that time was the worst thing in the world, to where they thought taking their own life was the only way out. So, I mean, that's sad. Yeah. The ones that like really get us are when it's not the kid's fault. Like we had one where the dad ran over his 3-year-old son and drug him 60 feet. It was in a van with one of the sliding closed doors, and somehow the kid like got out, and when he backed up, the dad didn't know, ran him over and drug him 60 feet down the driveway. When the dad got home from the police station, we had to listen to the wife and husband blood-curdling screams for like 5 hours while we cleaned up the driveway, and I had to pull the little guy out of the tire and everything, and the brake caliper and all of it, because the firefighters and the cops, they all had kids and they didn't want to go anywhere near it. They were like, nope, we can't do it. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't have kids. Like, I mean, I can do this stuff. So I just sat there and I did it. It took hours. So kids are definitely the hardest to deal with. But I mean, again, unfortunately, it's a fact of life that a lot of people like to close the door on and pretend that it's not real until they're faced with it. And then when they are faced with it, the trauma of it is unbearable. So unbearable.
Well, Mike, before we get out of here, I just want to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's nuts. But so for our final question is, have you ever thought about leaving this line of work? Like, do you think this is something that you're going to do forever, that you're going to end up retiring from?
I don't think that it's something that I'm going to do forever. As far as the hands-on aspect of it, once I get everything rolling here in Southern Florida, I'll probably go to like very big, large scenes to try and help out, or to give my 2 cents on with my guys that I hire on how to do it. But once everybody is all trained up and I have confidence in my guys, once I open my doors, I'll probably take a step back and just run the business for the sole fact that, like I said earlier, it's a 24/7 job, 365. I've paid my dues with it. I'm good with being called in at 2:00 in the morning to go clean a prison cell. So somebody else can go do that, and I'll pay them handsomely for it, but I'm not doing it.
Damn.
There you go. Well, 2 things. Thanks for your service.
Yeah,
And thanks for the service you're continuing to do, because you're right. It's very difficult for a parent to do something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you very much for being on the episode with us.
Oh, you're welcome, guys.
This was fucking nuts, man. I just posted an Instagram story and I was like, I don't even know what to expect. I really don't.
Yeah. Usually he's like, Dad, what do you want to ask him? I'm like, I have no fucking clue. What do you ask him? You know, I don't know what. I let him talk and we'll feed off of it and either be really quiet or try to interact. But I mean, usually I'm not this quiet, but I was today.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot to take in. It's like I said, it's a taboo world that a lot of people, when they're faced with it and you put it out there, they're just so awestruck. When people at bars hear about what I do, they think I'm lying. So
no shit, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Stay healthy and try to stay cool.
Right, bye, guys.
In Florida.
Be safe, buddy.
All right, man.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Bye.
So, thoughts? I mean, I'm still recording.
I don't have a thought. I mean, I just, you know, when he started talking about the houses, I can remember a lot of the houses we flipped.
Yeah, dude. Dude, there's more stories that you didn't even get. I remember you telling me that you ripped the wall out and people, or someone else ripped a wall out and people fell out of the fucking thing.
Yeah, just before we moved back to California, the way that we used, not me personally, but the way that the company used to get homes were through auctions or through private sellers. Well, there was a home down in, I want to say Chandler, or even maybe around Tempe. I can't remember. But anyway, there was a home out there, and bad smell, like he was saying, and they opened up the walls, and there was people that were buried. And there's a movie out called Sicario.
Yes.
And the beginning scene of Sicario. When I saw that movie, I was like, I remember that. I didn't personally see it, but I know the people who bought the home and the people who sold it to them. And when they told the story, I was like, that must have came out of that, because that actually was filmed in Arizona, that movie.
Fuck.
But they were years apart. So, and then, you know, I didn't even get into the animals that were like the two dogs that ate, the one dog who ate all the other dogs in the house that they left them behind, or
what?
The guy on a motorcycle. Yeah, there was a house where we got into. It was me and Carlos. We walked in and we were trying to scope it out, see what we had to do, and there was like fur patches everywhere. And they told us after we did our assessment and what we had to do, then we were told, yeah, that there was a dog left. There was a pit bull that was left in there. Either had a litter or they had multiple dogs, and this pit bull killed everything.
God damn.
And then it ended up dying. And then the one guy saw himself right on 35th and the freeway. I was going home from a job, and this homeless guy, I guess just tired of living, and truck was coming off, 18-wheeler was coming off the on-ramp.
No shit. He just walked right in front of it.
Just walked right under it.
Oh.
Go right in between. You know, there's a gap. You got the cab,
Yep.
the tires, then the chassis, and in the back of the chassis, there's 8 tires. Well, he dove right in between the last set of tires. He didn't get out. Like he said, he cleaned that baby's body parts out of the brake caliper.
Yeah.
That shut the freeway and the on-ramp down for hours.
Fuck.
You know, and then the guy seen,
dude,
I by me on a motorcycle.
What? Oh, I remember you telling me that one too.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just, I just wasn't expecting. Like I knew, I tried to rationalize what to expect, and I didn't. I mean, I can't even fathom that. And that's what I was telling him. You know, like, you know, there's things that I do to, you know, when I view bodies, but I mean, he's on a whole different fucking level.
Yeah, no, I don't see how he doesn't. I mean, like I said, even though it was just dogs and I didn't see the dogs, I still remember the smell of the house. I still remember the house. I still remember where I saw the little patches of dog fur. That's what it was. Initially, I didn't know what it was. I remember the kid that shot himself outside. I was working on the house on 43rd and I want to say Indian School, but I could be wrong. But there was a park across the way, and I was by myself in this house, and there was no iPods or anything like that at the time, so there was no music playing, but I heard the pop. And then within 30 minutes, I heard all the ambulance, or not even the ambulance, the cops. They roped it off quick, and I was like, came outside, and I was like, what's going on? And then I just happened to look over the embankment, and this little kid put a gun in his mouth, blew the back of his head off. And I heard it. I guess that's what bothers me most. I heard it, and we live in Oakland. There's gunshots all the time. You work close to East Palo Alto. There's gunshots all the time.
Yep.
So
we get a lot of those people too.
Yeah.
The victims of that. But yeah.
Yeah.
That was nuts. This was a very, like I said, a very interesting episode, and we got more to come.
Well, give this guy a proper shout out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let him know. I mean, he provides a service.
Yeah, and I didn't even. Yeah, I dropped the ball on that one, so I'm gonna.
How do you ask? He can't name his company, so I mean, you just put his name up there, put his webpage or whatever.
Yeah, I am.
So services he provides.
Everyone listening, if you would like to follow Mike on Instagram, you can go to Instagram. It's USMC0372. USMC3072. That's his Instagram page. Go ahead and follow him. Thank you, Mike, for again being on the episode. And Dad, can't wait to talk to you with the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is Bo Talks with
till next
Big
time.
Jim. Till next time.
Later, guys.